Speaking of Minnesota, that's where we'll go next because we have Ohio State against Minnesota earlier today. I think they tipped just like 3 hours ago, so game ended just about an hour ago in this one. Ohio State wins 84-74. I think the story of this game was Ohio State just wasn't able to pull ahead like they wanted to. They were playing very well, but Minnesota just felt like every single time had a way to stay within 10 points, stay right there. I don't think they were ever really like making Ohio State scared, like they were going to come back or anything, but they kind of kept hanging around, kept being there, just close enough to make sure Ohio State couldn't take their starters out or anything. And Jamison Battle got to come back after he was the villain last year. He was waving to the crowd, he was after Minnesota beat him, and now he's back here playing against Minnesota, and a lot of the same guys were on this roster. Dawson Garcia, Ben Johnson still coaching, that kind of stuff. Mike, what were your thoughts on the Buckeyes versus the Gophers in this one?
Yeah, like you said, I think the fact that they're unable to pull away, I know Ohio State's been looking really good these last couple of weeks. For Minnesota to stick around, I don't know if that says more about Minnesota or Ohio State. I think Minnesota's kind of a scrappy team. I know they're going to give you their best. Garcia with 25 shot attempts today for 36 points. That's incredible. Obviously, a guy you're going to have to key in on if you're going up against them. But as you mentioned, Battle 4 for 6 from 3, 7 for 12 from the field, 25 points. Ohio State had 25 points, 26 points from Thornton there. So pretty impressed by what the Buckeyes have done the last couple of weeks. I know they shot almost 53% from beyond the arc, so great shooting night as far as that goes. So I'm impressed by what Ohio State's been showing recently for sure.
Well, they showed that guard duo that we've been talking about that you really need. Bruce Thornton, he just has a score first mentality that is kind of surprising to me. We didn't really see it last season. Now he still had 5 assists in this game, so it's not like he, is only thinking to score and doesn't want to pass, but he just gets the ball and it's like, if the rim is there, he's taking it. He's going to get to the rim. He's going to make it happen. And he can even shoot from the outside a little bit. 1 for 3 in this game. Not bad. Enough to keep the defense honest. Justin, what were some of your thoughts on the Buckeyes and the Gophers in this one?
Yeah, a big one for me was, if you look at this game, the Buckeyes the outside shooting for them was such a huge factor. I mean, over 50% from 3. They were good from the free throw line, 23-28, and they're almost 50% shooting overall. So this team, they played pretty efficient. I mean, that's just going to be really tough for another team to be able to take them down, even with a guy like Garcia going off for what he did in this game. And I just think that Minnesota is one of those teams that's still kind of trying to build with Ben Johnson there and trying to get a talent base in that they feel comfortable and confident with. They were kind of in a rough shape coming into his time as coach. And it's going to take them a little bit, I think, to kind of put together the talent base that they need in order to be really able to compete in the Big Ten.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention Ohio State's version of Mason Gillis with Evan Mahaffey. I'm still trying to figure this dude out, guys. 0 points, 22 minutes, but he's out there with 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. I mean, the dude is all over the place, but he also has 2 turnovers. I don't know what to make of this kid. He's like a glue guy, but at the same time, you can't really rely on him for anything offensively. It's baffling to me what he's able to do on the floor and how he's able to make this offense stick. At some point, somebody is going to have to say, Mahaffey, just shoot. We're gonna double team Bruce Thornton. We're gonna double team Zed Key and Philo Paul. All these guys. Just shoot. We're not even going to start guarding you. Do you see that happening soon, Mike?
Yeah, I think if you're an opposing head coach, you got to start looking at the film and kind of making that adjustment. And yeah, you got to be leaving him open. I always say, if you're that wide open, if there's probably a good reason you're that wide open and they want you to take that shot. But I think he's going to have to start shooting the ball and making the shots and prove that he can, or else that's going to make it a lot hard on those other guys to keep doing what they're doing. The defense is going to start sagging off. Yeah. It's going to be tough for the other Buckeyes if he doesn't start, producing some on even if it's a drive and get a foul, get a whistle, get some free throws, just something to be productive on the offensive end.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, Justin.
I was going to say, you can't play 4-on-5. It's borderline impossible. And unless you have ultra efficient players at other positions, it's so hard to have that extra guy who's able to kind of roam and help. Wisconsin dealt with it a lot last year with Carter Gilmore, who was a guy that he does some really nice things from an energy standpoint, but you don't want him taking shots. And when he's out on the court, teams acknowledge that, and they just would say, if you put him on the 3-point line, if you can't hit threes, then the defender's basically below the free throw line. And it's like, you have an extra post defender then. Like, that makes things so much more complicated from an offensive standpoint at that point.
The one thing I will say about it is that I do feel like Chris Holtmann is doing a good job of minimizing that, because he's not leaving Evan Mahaffey in there for, 8-10 minute long stretches. He's putting him in, letting him play his defensive plays and bring him out, which you don't normally do with a guy because they have to get into rhythm and play offense. But if you never get into rhythm and play offense,
if you don't have to do that,
exactly, just go in and guard the guy. So it's very interesting to me, and I think it could be one of their weak spots going forward. But Chris Holtmann, in this game, he put his bench, where he wanted them. 15 minutes Zed Key, 16 minutes Scotty Middleton, 15 minutes Dale Bonner. Devin Royal had 2 minutes as well, but they're starting to get their rotation that I think they want. No Tayson Chapman. This is kind of what I expected from Scotty Middleton coming in. I don't think he's the most talented freshman, but he has the skill set that they need to be kind of that 3-and-D guy. He was 2 for 3 from the 3-point arc, so he obviously helped with what you guys were talking about there. Justin, is there anything that we can take from this guard duo of Ohio State and say there's something that's going to stop them eventually? There's something that defenses can do and stop this, because, they combined for 44 in this game. Any guard duo that does that is going to be really hard to stop.
Yeah, the big thing is going to be just if you can keep penetration away and force them to shoot from the outside. That's going to be with any guard duo, is to try and force them to take long distance shots. You hope that they just aren't hitting them at that point. Better defensive teams are going to be better on that. They're going to close out strong, and they're going to be able to hopefully stay in front of you, or at least help if you get by somebody. And if you can do that, you can hopefully minimize it, but you're probably not going to be able to stop them outright. You're going to have to try and just minimize as much as you can and at least make it hard for them.
Yeah, for sure. Mike, if you had to think of one or two teams in the Big Ten that would be able to best do that, kind of be the strongest defensive battle for Ohio State and these guys, who would be 2 or 3 teams in the Big Ten that you would say they could possibly win that battle?
Yeah, I think you look at, obviously a team super athletic like a Michigan State. They always got the guys that can close out. They always got freak athletes that can do, that type of task. I think Illinois has one of the best defenses in the country at this point. They're going to be able to clamp those guys down, you would think. And then obviously, Purdue's a solid squad. Their defense is going to be good, but a team that I kind of want to give a shout out to is Rutgers. I think they've been very impressive on the defensive end so far this year. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to completely stop the Ohio State guards from doing what they want to do, but as Justin had said, you kind of mitigate it, try to make somebody else kind of beat you. And if they're going to get there 10 to 15, that's so be it, but force someone else to, make up that difference instead of giving up 20 points to those guys.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's going to be the key, is making somebody else on this offense beat you, whether it's Zed Key, whether it's Felix Okpara. But that's the huge thing with a guy like Jamison Battle. I think he was one of the best transfer additions in the Big Ten. I think there were obviously other very good ones as well, but he was one of the best, not from like a skill point, but just like what the team needed to be able to do what they're doing. So don't sleep on the Buckeyes this season. I think the Gophers played a good game. I think they're better than maybe their record will indicate at the end of the year. But don't sleep on the Buckeyes. They could, if they don't have their January slump where they lose like 8 or 10 in a row, they could be pretty scary. So listen to the Big Ten Huddle. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. If this was your first time listening, we are the Big Ten Huddle. We cover all things Big Ten football and basketball. We have a long episode every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, all at 9 o'clock. So come in, check us out, get in the chat, let us know what you're thinking. We would love to have you join us and learn more about the Big Ten.